And what were you doing going through my apartment?
Look, that's not the issue.
Oh, then what is? Khadijah, you don't trust me. Now, why would I give you keys to my apartment if I was gonna have other women going through there?
Because that's what you would be expecting me to expect you to be expecting of me.
You blew it! You had it all and you blew it!
I know that this is my destiny. I was at my lowest, he saw the best of me. All of my doubts are the rest in peace. Buried them deep in the leg, I can work with the rest of me. Yes, I am blessed, never stress, disconnect from all my demons. They can never get the best of me. Truly blessed to be a...
Now, you must know that when you work in the corporate world, sometimes you have to conform to get ahead.
So you would change your hairstyle, huh?
Hell no. That's why I went into business for myself. I'm no one's puppet.
Check it out. The 1990s were a very interesting point in many people's lives, where right now I had to get real up close to the microphone so you guys could hear what I had to say right in your ear. So let me just lean back a little bit now, because right now I'm recording this at almost 11 at night. It is hot as hell, almost 90 degrees in the spring. Someone please help. Anywho, I'm doing this as one of my 2 subscriber specials of me doing Living Single, which was originally supposed to be known as My Girl. A show that honestly had a different vibe from what I could tell from the intro over where we are today from a show that over 20 years ago has left such a beautiful mark on television history today. Now, normally, as you guys have seen the development for my review shows, I've been doing segments, I've been doing all these different segues here and there, but for this, we're gonna just dial it back to where I once were as a reviewer, of just keeping it consistent on one solid basis of where am I at that moment, rather than trying to deconstruct it bit by bit, because for one, this is a show that's been dissected not only by the creator, but by the actors, the crew, everyone that was involved in this, no matter how big or how small. So breaking down the behind the scenes doesn't seem as prevalent, despite being a big fan. But the second thing is, I just feel like maybe I should dial it back a little bit to just kind of kick it back old school with how I used to do reviews every now and again. Especially because I have so many people wanting to see me put out stuff. So let's actually talk about Living Single, and potentially also why this was swept under the rug to only be overshadowed by its Caucasian counterpart.
But I cannot violate my personal integrity. My hair is not just for fashion. It's part of my heritage. It is a statement of pride.
So, Living Single, a show that has 4 incredible African-American actresses and 2 spectacular male African-American actors. Just overall amazing cast overall. They live in a New York City brownstone, where the girls, except for one, share a brownstone on the ground floor to just kick it like they used to, while they're trying to pursue their dreams and maybe find romance along the way. Meanwhile, the 4th female of the group lives across the street. You then find out a few seasons later on that she used to live there, but then she had to move out because, you know, roommate drama you have to watch the show about. I recommend buying the DVD. Meanwhile, the 2 gentlemen live upstairs because A, one of them is a New York broker on the stock market. They call him the Barker. While the other one, a amazing gentleman, whether he's an inventor, a comedian, or simply just being the best handyman you've ever seen, is basically the super of the brownstone, where they just have a very nice studio apartment. Like, I mean, very, very fucking nice. The 90s were good, y'all. I wish I could go there and get that 90s money today. Why is it so hard? Anyway, for 4 seasons, we're watching this core group of individuals, where we have Khadijah, a really amazing journalist trying to start her own publication by the name of Flava Magazine, using some good labor across the board, most notably her secretary slash assistant slash pain in the ass that is her cousin Sinclair, who wants to find herself eventually before stumbling onto the fact of she wants to be an actress, but will still work at Flava, because flavor always needs more flavor with the seasoning. So from there, we're also focusing on another person from the Brownstone of Regine Hunter, the lady of 1,000 wigs, the ghetto fabulous bougie queen of fashion, who's always on the prowl to find her millionaire. Why? Because although she knows she could be a success on her own, she just wants to pursue having the easy life. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you know you could do stuff, but want to pursue the easy life, that's way more honest than just being like, I want to get a basketball person because I love them. Bitch, if you just want the easy life, just be like, I want to date people that are several brackets up where their wallets are. Not because I'm lazy, but just because I want the easy life. I know what it's like to struggle, how to get a paycheck and do all these different things. But I'm trying to go for mine by going for that giant pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And that's something I highly respected about Regine's character for the first 4 seasons. Again, I'm harping on that because we're going to get to that point momentarily, hopefully, maybe, not really. Where the 4th and final lady of Maxine Shaw, attorney at law, is probably the show-stopping character for everyone, because Max is just her own entity. She is just, I don't know what Erica Alexander was doing, but holy shit, every time Max was on screen, she's an attorney at law who becomes an older woman, but still does the most zany shit where you're just like, God damn, we didn't know how good we had it, where we had Kim Coles from goddamn Living Color just bursting on the scene, amazing comedian overall. We have Queen Latifah dipping her toes into acting here and there to just be so good at the role of being a struggling journalist with a heart of gold, but also a little bit over her head with a lot of anxiety issues. And then we also have, god damn, oh shit, so many goddamn amazing people like Kim Fields to wrap up the whole thing, especially since people knew her as Tootie for so many goddamn years. Hopefully I'm getting everyone's names right. I keep getting the Kims mixed up because when you have 2 Kims on set, you're like, which one of y'all is Coles and which one of y'all is Fields? Please help me. I only remember Kim. Please help. I'm not trying to be ignorant, please. I am congested. Anywho, aside from the lovely ladies, we also give our flowers to the 2 male leads of the series, John Henton's Overton Wakefield Jones and T.C. Carson, who played Kyle Barker. Now, with Overton being, of course, the sagely advice character, who also had his country-isms, as many people would say, to be both comedic yet wise is a difficult tightrope for individuals, because you could slip into just being a very slapsticky character if done wrong, but the way John and the writers handled Overton was always just, he had that good level of silliness with that good balance of grounded behavior, to where you could always take him seriously, but also understand where the comedy lied. Which is something important for a character who's just supposed to be the handyman, because you're always thinking about Booger or Buffalo Butt from Good Times, where it's just, oh boy, so many things to unpack with how many networks wanted that to be the blueprint for the archetypical character that is the handyman. Anywho, we then have to talk about TC. I used to be Kratos Carson. Singer, actor, model. He was all these things and more, while also gracing us with elegance and poise to just be the sophisticated yet also very comedically timed person in all facets when it comes to being Kyle Barker. A suave character that has the backstory of being a bullied, meek child, while also being a little bit overweight, to just be, of course, this titan of industry, this person that could command a room, but also still have his silly moments with his people. And that is something that I looked up to especially, including the fact of, and I'm not afraid to admit this, TC Carson is the reason that I sing to this day. His performances in this show, and then from the album he released while filming stuff for Living Single, that was my gateway to singing. Not Michael Jackson, not Prince, not Marvin Gaye. It was TC Carson who wanted just nothing more than to be a role model for minority kids watching the show, where I want to be a jazz singer to this day. Not as a lead job, but just overall for where I do stuff musically. I want to be a jazz singer, and I thank TC Carson for it. Not only for his My Funny Valentine rendition, but also when they did an entire show talking about a literal jazz club back in the day where he did My Honey Suckle. That song stood out to me the most, along with My Funny Valentine. Yet he never gets asked to do that song as much as people really should. But for all intents and purposes, for 4 seasons, everything was amazing. The drama, the comedy, the storylines, everything about where everyone's overall journeys were going were spectacular. Khadijah having to do small things here and there to keep her magazine afloat were amazing to watch. Letting Sinclair explore her overall things about life before also finding out what she wanted to do on a consistent basis and to become a more realized person. That was amazing to watch her go from this kind of airhead but also very knowledgeable character to just being someone that is a surprising wild card character. Kim really killed it from just doing this as a display. From Regine just being ghetto fabulous for ghetto fabulous sake to break the mold of Tootie, to then just being a fully fleshed out character about why she does what she does, why she's pursuing the men that she pursues, and many, many more, makes Regine an iconic role that Kim Fields could only do herself. No one else could do these roles, but I also still have to always and forever give credit where credit is due with Erica Alexander, because she kills it as Maxine Shaw, attorney at law. You cannot do a single thing about Living Single without talking about Erica Alexander and TC Carson being the progenitors for the overall blueprint in a rom-com sitcom affair involving people of 2 very different walks of life smashing together to be incredible energies. And they carried that torch for 4 out of 5 seasons with such a spectacular range. It has changed the landscape overall in that will they, won't they dynamic. But at the other side of the spectrum, for just a very sweet romance that I haven't really seen done properly in a long time or ever since this has been done, we get it to where Kim Coles and John Henton, with their characters of Sinclair and Overton having their whole giggly puppy dog romance of these very big kids at heart, very awkward people, finding each other immediately, but never knowing how to set the mood first with one another, and their organic chemistry goes a long way. It's at that whole precedence about their romance, about how they get together, is what I do to measure romances in other television shows to this very day, which you guys will probably hearing in a few reviews I have lined up, cause oh boy, so many things to talk about, but I have way too much on my plate to talk about here. So when we're going into everything with how for 4 seasons we have a phenomenal cast, great storyline dialogues, especially with Overton trying to share more about his life, but also come to terms with he's no longer just that kid from Ohio anymore. He is a city person now, and he has to make certain sacrifices to no longer be that Ohio citizen in the big city. With also Max trying to let down her walls more because fear of intimacy is a true factor of life. Kyle coming to terms with more and more stuff, especially working in a field where him just being black could also be a detriment because no matter what you do, there's always going to be a roadblock, and it feels like an uphill battle every day. Why... Sorry, I had like a small stroke. Why do I keep saying they did everything good for 4 seasons? Well, here's the thing. When we talk about the 5th season, this is where the network really screwed over Living Single for 2 reasons. Number 1, and this is highly documented, they didn't like the fact that the cast were trying to fight for their own slot directly with the people because they didn't like how they were getting lesser than a show that came out after them, stealing more from what they deserved. So they also wanted to get rid of what they called the figurehead to make sure that nothing was the same. And the cast could feel that shift, and it diminished the story, the energy, and how they carried themselves for the overall 5th season. But the second thing is, I don't think the network cared anymore because they found their golden goose in a ripoff. And that same ripoff is a show that many other shows to this day are still saying is the magic series that kicked off where we have our sitcoms today of where they developed. Happy Endings, Scrubs, fucking Dharma and Greg, Will and Grace, Mad About You, all these things that try to do the same formula that we have from Living Single, whether it's about a friend group or a small assortment cast of individuals on a different level. They want to say it comes from Friends, a program that came a year after Living Single and then took a bunch of different elements from them to make their program as good as it is. Even to this day, with David Schwimmer's bitch ass trying to be like, you know what would be great? Is if black people had their own version of Friends. And it's just like, really? Really, David? Really? Because we had that. You idiots fucking stole from it because the network wanted y'all to think that y'all were special. They wanted y'all to think that we were looking out for you and Rachel. I was there rooting for Kyle and Max. People wanted me to be like, what about Monica and Chandler? I was more obsessed over the romance of Sinclair and Overton. Phoebe's weird ass, I'm looking at Sinclair with the woo woo woo, woo woo woo. I didn't give a single fuck about Friends for years, but the moment that David Schwimmer thing came into play, I knew I had to make this video. I knew I had to make this fucking review. Because I'm also at that point in my life where I'm tired. And that's something I'm just going to be real with you guys. Like, no more jokes, no more me being hyper energy for stuff where I'm not really that hyper. It's getting closer and closer to midnight, so I'm not really that energetic. Let me just slow it down and be real. I am tired. I am tired when it comes to media. because everything I try to look for in the overall viewing space, I feel is so cookie cutter at this point. It makes it harder for aspiring script writers, aspiring showrunners, aspiring filmmakers in general, getting the fatigue about where to kick stuff off. Especially now with the AI slop being what it is, ruining the integrity of shows that people really got invested in, and letting the fandom down because it's less and less about the human element and more about what is profitable for a network, profitable for a company. And it's becoming more prevalent because we've allowed that whole synergy to diminish more and more, that we don't have that brimming defense against individuals that are trying to rip money out of our pockets, to dehumanize us as people and only see us as cash cattle to then be put into the slaughter mill of overall financial gain. And watching programs like this, or other programs I'll be talking about more and more throughout the years to come, is on that whole level of why I'm tired. Because I do write my own stuff, I do produce and direct my own stuff, but in the push to do it to where they are proof of concepts for a network, I'm always thinking about the downtrodden affair that comes with the shows I grew up loving, no longer feeling like shows that really matter anymore in the public zeitgeist. Living Single, Martin, parts of Fresh Prince, fucking My Wife and Kids, the original run of Everybody Hates Chris, the PJs, the Jamie Foxx show, the Wayans Brothers TV series. So many things involving just people that looked like me doing bigger and better things for themselves, regardless of stuff behind the scenes. It was amazing to watch a lot of people with care and with a lot of their respect held high, with their dignity not being draped on the floor with chains, doing what they love in a way that could grace television in a big, big way. And we might be getting that in certain spurts. We might be getting that from certain avenues. But it doesn't feel the same the more we're developing today. We don't have the same thing to where we have more and more examples of black excellence in media the same way, even though we have it slowly making an incursion back into the field of media. Ryan Coogler's overall production of stuff, Jordan Peele's production of stuff, and so many other African American, Hispanic, and Asian directors pushing the boundaries of where we need to go to make good programming is getting harder and harder for people like me to feel like we have our foot in the door and we can pursue better things when we feel like there's more of a slam in our face to then just make us go through the door of no return more and more each day. Because that's what it feels like to be in this industry now, and it's why I'm so tired. I love this show to no end. I will champion this show like no one's business. But if I'm being honest, it also reminds me about how far we've developed in where we're supposed to go, and why that uphill battle that the actors, the producers, the directors and writers and so many other people were committed to, it didn't feel like people anymore. And that's so sad. But y'all are not here for me being extra real, because I know this is my 700 plus subscriber special, and I'm pretty sure by the end of this I'm gonna have like a huge decline from people about, too real, man, it's too real. Or, how dare you bring race into this, how dare. Yes, how dare I embrace my skin color. How dare I. My overall ratings when it comes to Living Single for just everything as a whole, like all 5 seasons, where season 5 is gonna be the biggest demerit. I'm sorry, but it is. I'm going to proudly give this entire series 11.3 out of 13. I'm giving it 5.5 stars out of 7. And for every facet I can think of, the writing, the directing, the production, the set designs, the slapstick comedy that came in spades, the regular dark humor, the normal humor, a certain goddamn celebrity guest stars that they got for this whole thing, the twist, the turns, the romance subplots, and how it really did change the game for television in ways that we don't talk about, I'm gonna give it an A-. If it wasn't for season 5 being the executive problem from hell, this would be probably one of the greatest shows of all time. If not one of the best examples of TV sitcoms in television history. Will I do a bigger deep dive to break it down bit by bit? If you guys want me to, I could do a Magi critique later down the line, because I'm starting up a queue for those, and I'm bringing back the series about next year. I'm already putting some stuff together for a Magi critique and doing some pre-recordings in the summer for it, so I could add this to the roster for a bigger deep dive to give you guys a better reasoning behind everything. But until then, while I'm also making the 600 subscriber special that I was supposed to do, apparently weeks ago, because I didn't know I was going to blow up this fast from other things I did a decade ago. God, I'm getting so fucking old. I do have a review set aside with the help of my big sister Shreeves making the intro for me, where I'm going to finally talk about something I was supposed to do a few years ago, back when I was in a different phase in my life with someone else. And although I wish them well, I had to do this overall retake of things, this reboot affair, and push forward in a different direction to cover the real story at play. But until then, thank you guys so much for all the support. Over the years, I did not think I would get this far. I thought I would just get at 500 and then just be done. But apparently, y'all like me. Y'all like the stuff I've done. And, yeah. Thank you guys once again. You know what? If I actually get, like, a comment from TC Carson or from the Living Single podcast team, I might actually do a special video doing a cover of TC Carson's stuff. Food for thought.
Boy, you crazy!